take me out of the still meditation, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
as I'm preparing the food, that's a moving meditation. And fortunately, there are many forms of meditation because whatever a person focuses on becomes a meditation, especially if they're doing it repetitively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But to be able to tap in directly to people via the Akasha or the unified field, it
Mm-hmm.
goes by so many different names,
Mm-hmm.
was just really, really uh, fulfilling for me. So I thank you to everyone, and thank you to you for making the connection.
Indeed, indeed. Well, let's get this thing started, Tassili. Me and you've been talking about AI, so I decided to ask AI about Pistis Sophia.
Yes.
And let's see, let's just read a little bit about what AI said. And AI don't have it all there, it don't got it all together yet, but it's getting there. But this is why I'm gonna be speaking at your event in September, and it's
Yes.
important that
Yes.
I just told the family we become the programmers of AI and not just sit back and allow other people to feed it the information. We have to be the
Right.
programmers, and that's a whole nother conversation we're gonna have. I'm gonna be at your event. We're gonna let the people know about your event a little later on. But let's get into the show tonight. Give me 1 second. Let me put this on the screen, y'all. Let me put this on the screen. Give me 1 second, y'all. This gonna get good, y'all. It's gonna get good. All right, let's do this here.
Mhm.
Let's do the. I think that's as big as it's gonna get. All right, let me just do a little reading, and then we're gonna get into a good conversation. So I asked Google, is Google Gemini and Chat GPT? Google Gemini is one of the big dogs out there, along with Chat GPT. They got this thing called well, they got several programs, but this is one of the
Right.
top
Meta.
programs.
Meta
No, it's
is one of them on
yeah, that's
WhatsApp.
yeah, that's another one. But let me read to you what it said about the Pistis Sophia. All right, the Pistis Sophia is a title that translates from Greek as faith wisdom. It from Greek as faith wisdom is a significant and complex Gnostic text believed to have been written between the 3rd and 4th century AD. This ancient manuscript, primarily preserved in Coptic translation from the earlier Greek original, offers a unique and intricate cosmology and post-resurrection dialogue between Jesus and his disciples, including prominent female figures like Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of Jesus, and Martha. The text stands as a central document for understanding Gnostic Christianity, a movement in early Christian centuries that emphasized personal spiritual knowledge, gnosis, as the path to salvation. The Pistis Sophia is structured as a series of questions and answers, primarily between Mary Magdalene and Jesus, delving into the nature of the soul, the structure of the spiritual realms, and the process of redemption. At the oh God, hold up. At the heart of the Pistis Sophia is the allegorical story of the divine feminine figure, Pistis Sophia herself. She is a high divine being who, out of the desire to ascend to the ultimate light, falls from her elevated state into the lower material realms of chaos. Her journey is one of suffering, repentance, and the eventual redemption through the intervention of Jesus. Her story serves as a powerful metaphor for the human soul's fall into materiality and its arduous journey back to divine. The teachings within the Pistis Sophia are multifaceted and diverge significantly from Orthodox Christian doctrine. It goes into some key concepts. I'm gonna skip over that. And I asked it, I need more mystical teachings. And it said, it talked about the soul as a fallen goddess.
Hmm.
It talked about Jesus as the initiator and revealer of gnosis, and it just talked about the divine feminine as the key to understanding. So I want to get into this. I'm not gonna y'all could look through that yourselves another time and ask look it up on your own. Just to start out with Tassili, with us looking at that right there, how accurate is that from what you know of the Gnostic scriptures? And would you consider all of our souls, like we always say, we're a soul having a human experience? Would you call all our souls like a goddess, like this divine goddess? Does everybody have soul? Would you consider it like a goddess in nature?
Yes, I would, because we are made of the same stuff as the stars. And
Right.
while, it sounds cute to a lot of people, it's actually a scientific fact. I'm always encouraging people to do their own research.
Right.
And the the Pistis Sophia has a lot of different origins, actually. Some of the Gnostic teachings recognize her as being God's wife.
Mm-hmm.
How about
Mm-hmm.
that? Some of them recognize her as being, yes, a fallen goddess, but she was fallen because she wanted to know God. And in the biblical sense, knowing God meant she wanted to have sex with him, she wanted to have divine copulation. And if we take it a bit further, then we can say, okay, well, either God agreed with her, which is the divine masculine, agreed with her. They practiced tantric sex. The Big Bang happened, and the Big Bang being the cosmic orgasm, and thus producing the known universe and galaxies that are out there, right? And the unknown. And out of what we perceive as chaos actually was the order of everything.
Whew.
It's just that we're not really knowledgeable of everything. We don't know what we don't know, but there is a divine order. And so Pistis Sophia really is a very powerful entity as the feminine aspect of the divine creator, or of divine intelligence that we refer to all the time. Because let's talk about the fact that blackness, going back to Bobby Hemmett, Bobby introduced the concept of the triple blackness of space to us. Not that it wasn't already out there through uh, the quantum physics, but that concept he introduced into the metaphysics community. And during our awakening, we embraced the triple blackness of space as the goddess, which the ancients already referred to as the goddess. So what is that but the cosmic womb? So that was the divine intelligence saying, you know what, let me experience myself outside of myself. And so that was the divine union. That was the Big Bang. That's what happened. That was the cosmic orgasm. So we are made up of everything that the divine intelligence is.
Right.
And as I spoke about it last time briefly, I talked about our soul matrix. I talked about us, everyone being connected, everyone and everything being connected to the Akasha. And really, the Akasha is just another name for the quantum field. The quantum field, the Hall of Records in ancient Kemet. It was known as the Hall of Records. In modern day psychology, it's the collective unconsciousness. So it can go by a bunch of names, but it's where everything that ever was and that ever will be has its recorded vibrational frequency, and we're all connected to it because we're all it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, the ethers.
The ethers are a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything, the ethers are, and it all exists simultaneously. So we talk about the veils and layers of creation. So if we can imagine we might imagine it in the form of layers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which would then be the etheric realms, or
Mm-hmm.
different portals, or
Mm-hmm.
different dimensions. We have different words to describe essentially the same thing. And the more we take the time to meditate, whether it's a seated meditation where we're being still, or a walking meditation, or dancing meditation, it might even be a standing meditation, as long as we're staying in the meditative state, that's when we're able to activate, or access first our sixth sense, our pituitary gland, our crown chakra, activate that energy, tap into our soul matrix, find out what we want to know
Mm-hmm.
without AI. AI is just a tool now that's helping us to tap in without doing the meditation, which is like somebody else eating for us. and
Mm,
us expecting ourselves to get full.
mm. Damn, that's a hell of a way to put it, Tassili. I think
Well,
wow, that is a hell of a way to put it.
I think that's the message that the Pistis Sophia is bringing to us, because when we talk about the rise of the divine feminine, we talk about the divine feminine being the vortex, the portal, the messenger, and even for men, when they tap into their spiritual side, they're tapping into their divine feminine side of themselves. So
Mhm,
consequently, the divine feminine is giving the message, which to me is most simply put that yes, if I'm seeking to know God, if I'm seeking to know the unknown, then, but I'm being cast out of heaven, supposedly, or out
right.
of the state of, I've forgotten what the Gnostic name of heaven is, and this is the Adam and Eve story again,
Mhm,
but if I'm being cast out, then because I want to seek knowledge, I want to know what God knows.
mm,
So what? I Because I want to know the other side of myself, I'm being cast out of myself. Well,
mhm,
maybe the divine part of myself wanted to know what it was to experience the lower part of myself.
mhm,
It's all me.
mhm,
But
mhm,
then that brings us into the awareness of the three aspects of our beingness, which is the carnal part, which is the just the male, the female, then the awareness part, which is the man and the woman, and then the divine part, which is the divine feminine and divine masculine. And we have to go through all of those stages to be able to get back to our crown chakra again. So to me, the fall, or the so-called fall, is us delving deep into all aspects of our being. And if it's coming through the Christian lens, then and particularly the Gnostic, but also, the Catholic and so on, they see the body as being negative. They see the body as being a prison and evil.
mm,
So if you're delving into your root chakra, yeah, you can get stuck there. We see all this drama and trial and tribulation in the world because humanity is stuck in their root chakra.
mm. Indeed.
So
What?
they're imprisoned in their physicality rather than actively becoming aware and awakened and moving up into what it is to be a whole woman and a whole man. And when we can thus start to be accountable
Mhm,
for ourselves, for our
mhm,
actions, for our thoughts, for everything, that's when we then begin to pierce the veil and move on up
mm,
into the crown, right?
mhm,
We activate that first eye. We
mhm,
see ourselves, we start seeing beyond sight,
mhm,
and then it opens up the pituitary gland, which
mhm,
then we're able to receive divine emanations from on high,
mhm,
you know and that's where our intuition kicks in, because that is coming from place of inspiration. The inner fire is being activated from the universal frequencies that are pouring into us.
mhm, mhm,
When we get our gut response, that's responding to our physical environment.
mm,
That's our intuitive physical sense for survival,
mhm,
right? And our heart is what gives us the balance, which is what mm, Pistis Sophia was about, because she was in spoken about as the embodiment of wisdom,
mhm.
you know. And so, what is wisdom but the culmination of knowledge and compassion, the
Indeed.
gnosis, you
Yeah.
know. So
Indeed.
yeah, so with that, we are getting a chance to again tap into the awareness, that accountability. Oh, life is happening for me, not to me.
Beautiful.
Because as long as I'm the victim, I'm going to be the victim and the perpetrator because I'm going to be down here in my root chakra and I'm going to get what I put out either way.
Right.
But as I elevate in my consciousness and start tapping into, because we go into the root, which is carnal,
Mm-hmm.
then the sacrum, which if it's not dealt with in the sacred way, which how would you know to deal with that in the sacred way if you've not elevated? You're then now just dealing with tribe. You're still dealing with survival. But then when you come to the solar plexus and you awaken that sun within yourself, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I did that.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Spirit did say, something did say, don't do such and such. Don't turn left. I
Mm.
knew it, but I chose to do something different. I'm activating my free will. So,
Mm. Let
cause
me,
requires a response. See, I
let,
can
let
cause
me let me
requires it is it's a law of physics. It requires a response. That's why people say cause and effect.
mm,
So, you know, once we get there to realizing that, oh, I did that, or
mm,
they did that, and they did that, but what did I do to even put myself in the space to receive that?
mm.
That's when then the compassion comes in, because now we get a chance to say, well, can I
let,
forgive myself? Can I forgive them?
let
Can
me
I
ask you
be
this.
kind? Can I not do that thing?
Tassili, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Tassili.
Okay.
Uh in the thing I just read, a little paragraph of it that I skipped over, it talks about overcoming the archons, and it says that the archons who torment Sophia are also the gatekeepers the soul must face on its ascent. They represent our own unresolved psychological complexes and karmic patterns. The mysteries given by Jesus are the means to neutralize these inner obstacles, to answer their challenges not with argument, but with the authority of spiritual knowledge. The soul must prove it is no longer bound by the passions and fears over which the archons rule. With your knowledge, Sophia, I called you
I
Sophia.
received that.
Hey,
I channeled it.
maybe I was supposed to. With your knowledge, Tassili, aka Sophia, um, you've been around Bobby, you've been around so much, you've been around different schools of thoughts. When you hear about entities like the archons, or what we may call evil entities like the devil or demons, how do you go about with the knowledge and the wisdom that you have with all of these Gnostic scriptures? People have different ways of going about it. Some people might get a brush that they say is going to protect them. There's all types of things to do. How does Tassili go about protecting herself from, they say, these entities that control the material realm?
Well, first of all, we control it too.
Yes,
Okay. We've been
yes.
given dominion over the physical realm.
Hmm, hmm,
That didn't mean that other folk didn't have dominion also, though.
hmm.
So there
Yeah.
we go to what are called the archons or laggard spirits. They go by a lot of different names, demons and so on. And what I've learned to do personally is not believe in them. Okay. So I
Ah.
acknowledge, hold on. And I acknowledge that they exist.
Mm-hmm.
I acknowledge that evil exists. I acknowledge that evil is live backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the word live backwards. And in order to break the spell, because it is spelling, Live, I just spelled the word. And EVIL, I just spelled the word. So if I'm welding power as a creatress, knowingly or unknowingly, I'm tethering myself to a cord of power. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that if I am putting energy into it, i.e., fear,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking about it, then I'm giving it power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we fear tends to be attracted into our life if we're pouring energy into it. It's like having uh like if our a car and the gasoline, we put the gasoline into the hole and it's being poured in there. Well, if the
Mm-hmm.
car was the archon and we're the tank of gas, then we're pouring into it via our fear. We're, you know what I'm saying? So it can hijack us essentially.
Right.
And the thing is this, I acknowledge that it exists, but I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
You know, because the belief is the pouring into.
Yes.
It's the pouring into. So that's my main form of protection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can also acknowledge that I do my best to stay prayed up.
Mm-hmm.
I do wear my crystals and my sacred symbols, you know, which are amulets. They help, but they don't in and of themselves do the thing, you know, the thing of the protection, because they're really just tools that would come through that work through what I'm sending, or what I'm sending works through them to be able to I keep getting these notifications. I need to turn them off. But to be able to can you all see them on the
You
other
do.
side? Do you all see the
No,
notifications?
no.
Oh, okay, good. All right, then don't worry.
No, I don't see.
Um
No.
so I was saying that I just have to really make sure that, well, we have to make sure that we are utilizing tools as tools, not the savior thing in and of itself, right? So a crystal is not going to necessarily save
Indeed.
me from anything, but it will help me to focus my energy to save myself. Is that making sense?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
like a lot of Christians, or and even some Muslims and people who are skeptics and so on, they may say, "Oh, you worship in a rock," or you know, you believe in all that woo woo. I mean, it's all out here whether you believe in it or not. I used to tell my dad that because he was like, "You so into that astrology stuff. I don't believe in any of that." And I would always say, "Well, Daddy, the sun's gonna rise and set whether you believe in it or not. It doesn't matter. You can
Yeah.
learn about it so that
Yeah.
you can become aware of the things that are going on in your environment, or you cannot. That's your choice." So
Indeed.
it's the same about the demons and things that are out there. Yeah,
Indeed.
they're out there,
Okay.
and they come in many forms and fashions. The
Mm-hmm.
music we listen to puts holes in our auric field,
Mm-hmm.
which causes us to be more susceptible. The foods that we
Food we eat.
eat,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, causes it parasites, internal parasites, which are little demons, microscopic demons, you know, that eat
Little
away
demons.
at us. You
Baby
know,
demons.
there are people that can be in our environment, can be demonic, and they don't even
Yeah.
recognize it. We all
Yeah.
know psychic vampires and spiritual pimps, people that who
Mm-hmm.
when we're around them and they leave, we feel so drained. Or when
Train.
we
Yep.
see them coming up, we our body like gives us a jolt, or a chill. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, you know, we may still encounter them, but if we
Mm-hmm.
don't consciously, like say for example, envision a force field,
Mm-hmm.
um, then yeah, they can siphon the energy. That's a whole show
No, indeed. No, it is. It is. It
to
is.
to go
Definitely.
into some of the things that we can do to protect ourselves, and some of the things that I do.
Mm-hmm. Tassili, you talked earlier about the Big Bang, and let's say when Sophia desired to know herself and separate herself, I guess you could call it a sexual act that took place between Sophia and the masculine half of herself, right?
Yes.
And that's what created the universe. So if it took a sexual act between the divine feminine and the divine masculine to bring forth the universe, why is it that they said at when the planet first started there was only woman on the planet? If Sophia desires to know other aspects of herself, why when the planet is created there's nothing but woman on the planet? If the whole universe got created from the divine feminine and divine masculine.
I think it depends on what school of cosmology is being followed,
Okay.
you know,
Mhm,
because the Christians came and wiped out the feminine principle altogether.
mhm,
And prior to that, during the realm of the goddess, there was a predominance of feminine energy. And if we look at ancient Kemet, we have beings that are hermaphrodites. They had the masculine and feminine. They were wombed men.
right.
Okay. Hapi, the god of abundance and prosperity in the river Nile, had breasts
Yeah.
and a huge penis.
Mm, mm,
So what do you do with that?
mm,
Just because it's not a common, and there are people born like that in this society. But typically when babies are born like that, they are a gender is forced on them.
uh-huh.
Like, so they used to, in the past times, it's my understanding that they used to wait until a child was older to determine what they wanted to be. But again, it depends on the school of thought, because in ancient societies, those beings many of those beings were seen as divine because they embodied both.
Mhm,
And then
mhm,
some cultures saw them as being demonic
mhm, mhm,
and kill them at birth. So it just depends on the perspective. And I would say that about, the cosmology story, because if we're wombed men,
mhm,
and men just being another word for mind,
mhm,
the
mhm,
mind of the creator
mhm,
that
mhm,
has a womb that is creating,
mm,
then it is said that the miracle of birth, if you will, came about when a man was actually born.
mm,
Because if we look at just biology
mhm,
in the first trimester,
mhm,
everybody's a female.
mhm, mhm,
Everybody,
mhm.
as we say down here in the South, everybody is
Everybody.
female.
Indeed.
Then the chromosomes line up according to whether it's going to be a masculine and feminine
Mhm,
being. And so, and nowadays, I got to interject this, because they put so many gene altering chemicals in the water. Then the first trimester, even though genetically and spiritually, this person was supposed to incarnate as a woman, because Xeno is in the water supply and it affects the reptilian stage of development, the chromosomes or hormones are going to be turned masculine
mm,
and vice versa. So that's why when we have people who say they're gay or they're lesbian, and they say, "Well, I was this way from birth," they're telling the truth.
mm.
They are. But it's because of the chemical altering of their chromosomes when they were in the reptilian stage in that first trimester.
Mm. You dr- you dropping some signs so far. So far,
I
yeah.
mean, and let me say this, family.
Yeah.
What's my famous statement? Don't trust my word. Do your own research.
Right, right.
Don't just take my word for it. Because
Mhm,
the information is out there. We just have to be willing to do what the Pistis Sophia did and represented, and that was to make known the unknown.
right.
So, if I may delve even a little deeper into what you were talking about with the demons and our dark side,
Please do.
well, when so the Pistis Sophia wanted to know herself, as herself, and she delved into the depths of her womb, the depths of matter. It was said that her fall is what actually created matter. Well, form creates matter, and form is out of order. So that's some ma'at there for you, you know? So ma'at created balance also, you know? And so with that, here we are in these lower chakras, the two lower chakras, and that's where we have to face our demons. It's where greed, jealousy, lust, envy, all of those things hang out there. And if we don't take the time to do the work to elevate ourselves, then we get stuck there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I have a workshop that I do with people, a meditation. It's a workshop that centers around the meditation. It's called the Endarkening, right? And it's where we consciously go into the darkness, our shadow side, and begin to explore what that is for us. Now, I'm not a psychologist, I do spiritual counseling, and sometimes things come up for people that require another level of healing than what I can provide. And I don't have any problem directing people to other people that have a higher pay grade, if you will, higher levels or deeper levels of initiation, where they can do more assisting. But to scratch the surface of it, I call it the endarkening meditation, where I invite people to close their eyes. And the first thing they see is the darkness, the
Yeah.
blackness. Then they start to see little speckles of light. Sometimes they see images, sometimes they just see speckles. Some people say they don't even see anything but the blackness. Either way, they are going into the darkening, which acknowledges that we have both dark and light within us. It's not outside, it's within. We are already enlightened. We just haven't activated it because the light comes from the darkness. The darkness produces it. We have to go into the darkness. It's called in this on the spiritual path, it's called the dark night of the soul, where we're going through that torment that we spoke about earlier as we're
Right.
elevating.
Right.
So going into the endarkening, the light and the dark produce shadows. And that's when we go into the shadow lands. We go in and do the shadow work. We go into that room, that room that's sitting down there in our really our sacral. And we say, well, what's in this room? This is my room. What's here? Mm, I have a closet in my room and I hear some banging in my closet, some knocking around. So I go to the closet and I open the door and all of these skeletons fall out. Skeletons in the closet. That's our family stuff. The generational curses, the generational lies, the generational information that is banging around, screaming and hollering, haunting us to be set free and healed. And we can't heal what we won't face. And we can't face what we don't feel. We've numbed ourselves so much. We become so traumatized as a species. I'm gonna just say everybody, all humans, but particularly those of African descent, African ascent. We just numbed ourselves to life.
Yeah.
So
Lem-
so we have to then begin to go through those bones, go through
mm,
those skeletons, examine those generational curses. Why?
mm,
And the medicine is forgiveness,
mm,
is love, for the giving of grace, not the forgetting,
mm,
but the forgiving of grace, for the forgiving of love,
mm.
the forgiving of understanding and overstanding. And then, Brother Rich, while we dealing with all these skeletons, we turn around and get ready to walk, and we stumble over this big lump in a rug. There's a rug on the floor in the middle of the room, and the
Mm,
rug has a big lump in the middle of it. What
mm,
is this lump? I'm tripping. I'm tripping over the lump.
mm.
I raise the rug, and it's all my dirt.
Wow.
Right? It's all our dirt that we swept under the rug. Stuff that we're ashamed of. Stuff that we're embarrassed about. Stuff that we didn't want anybody to know about. It's there under the rug. We swept it there. But it's gotten so big, we're tripping all over the place over our own stuff. Got to go get that broom and dustpan and start sweeping, cleaning out our room.
Mhm.
What did somebody do to us, and what did we do to them? Did Are we ready to forgive ourselves? We may not be ready to forgive them. Maybe we are, but maybe we're not. But let's start with forgiving ourselves first.
Mhm.
Work on that one.
Mhm.
Start sweeping.
Mhm.
Start sweeping, cleaning it up. And so while we down there cleaning up our dirt, we happen to glance over and see under the bed, and now we jumping back because it's a monster, it's a boogeyman under the
Oh
bed.
man.
What? That represents all the lies and fear that society has taught us. Because when we face the fear and we look deeper, we realize that under the bed, what we thought was the boogeyman is a
Mhm.
dirty hoodie and a dirty sock.
Mm.
But we were afraid of it. Fear, false evidence appearing real. A old dirty hoodie. We have been looking for that thing, but balled up under the bed
We thought it
with
was a
the
monster.
dirty sock, it
We thought it
turned
was.
into a monster that wasn't even real. That's what society has fed us, that we've become afraid of. We have to clean out that room and make the sacrum sacred.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the endarkening meditation, right? So when
Yeah.
we clean out that room, the basement, now we can gain access to that solar plexus, because now we're ready to acknowledge free will. Oh, yeah, there was some stuff we did. There was some stuff other people did. Did we take up for ourselves? Maybe we didn't open our mouths. Maybe we didn't speak. Maybe we didn't punch somebody in the face. Maybe we didn't just be quiet. What
Mhm.
did we do to contribute? So that's where we then begin to learn about aligning our ego with the divine ego. Are we listening to that little voice? Because children know right or wrong. So clearly, the inner child in us knows right or wrong. We just choose to do something else. We choose to be hard headed. We choose to be rebellious. We choose that. And our reasons may be just. But let's just own up to the fact that it's our free will to choose. And we did. And now we have to deal with the law of karma. That's the more ma'at for you, the
Right.
law of reciprocity. And now that we're accountable, now we're moving on up to the heart chakra, and the heart is being weighed against the feather. Yeah, we did the stuff, but did we do it with the pure intention
Right.
of the higher good, or did we do it with a lower frequency?
Mhm.
And do we have remorse? Maybe the remorse is the saving grace.
Hmm.
Maybe forgiving ourselves is the saving grace.
Mhm.
But while we still pointing the finger at everybody else, we got three of them pointing back at us.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can run, but you can't hide from yourself. And that's what the Pistis Sophia was about.
Mhm. Mhm.
To attain the higher knowledge, we
Mhm.
have to go deep within
Mhm.
to get to know knowledge of self, to have knowledge of self.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's when the truth, which is the knowledge, that can set you free can be accessed.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if you've passed that, now you're
Mm-hmm.
moving up into the throat chakra. Now you're qualified to open your mouth and cast spells. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you open your mouth because what do all the spiritual paths say? All the spiritual teachers say in the beginning was the word. That's just sound frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So what frequency are we uttering? What vibe are we putting out? Whether it's verbal or whether it's purely energetic, because we know that in the beginning we didn't even use words. We sent frequencies, and the frequency was felt by other beings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As we materialized into matter deeper, the frequency became heavier, and so thus sound was created. Through I should say our voices were created to be able to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, we're still casting spells because we're taking nouns and syllables and feeling and putting it all together into one cosmic mix
Mm-hmm.
that creates. Thus, the Pistis Sophia was also called a creatress. And it was said that while she created the divine, she also created demons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, if you down here stirring it up in that root chakra, you gonna definitely create some demons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't create them, you certainly gonna attract them because you're stirring it up. You know,
Yeah. No, definitely. Definitely.
you feel me?
Oh yeah.
And that's why, people will talk about anybody. You have people out there who are ignorant because really the main sin, the real sin, is ignorance. Ignorance, to ignore divine
Mm-hmm.
law,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what an evil person is doing. They're ignoring divine law and living backwards. The devil is someone who lived backwards. Word sound power, fam. I didn't create it, I'm just aware of it, and I have learned to utilize it. But
Right.
does that make me a witch? Because see, a lot of people then want to run around and say, "Oh, you a witch, and you did this, and that's why you could be successful." Okay.
Oh, that's what they tell you?
Oh
That's what
my
they.
God.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Unfortunately, our people are so superstitious. Anybody who's successful experiences what another friend of mine calls the curse of the great, where you're doing a great thing. You're an ordinary person doing an extraordinary thing because you're fulfilling your life's purpose. And the mediocrity of the masses don't fulfill their life's purpose. So they think that you are something different and weird. You're an anomaly.
Yeah.
So then instead of them studying you to see what you did that was so different that made you successful, they start gossiping. They start hating. They start saying you sacrificing babies. They start saying you having sex with everybody. They start saying that you paid somebody. You know what they say, brother Rich.
Yeah, I was just talking about this on a show with a brother named Ampu and Minister Jew. The same thing. It's big jealousy, and they have to justify where they're at in their life. So by doing that, they have to criticize you instead of learning from you. And
Exactly.
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we do that.
Absolutely. They would be the ones who are dwelling in the lower chakras.
Yeah.
Okay. And my thing is, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, then I'm not talking to you. And sometimes we fluctuate, we go up and down because what? We're human. We're spirits having a human experience. And that is a part of the human experience, learning discernment. Because what I end up saying to those people, and I end up saying this at every festival I have, because I'm not afraid to face it. At first, my feelings used to be hurt because I'm like, Why are they saying that? I'm not, I'm not doing anything to hurt anybody. All I'm doing is good. And then I realized, I said, you know what? It doesn't matter because they crucified Yeshua. They tried,
I was
you
I
know.
just about to
So who
say,
am I, right? Who am I? And so, but what I say is, which witch are you? Because we all witches, if that's the case. Which witch are you? Are
yeah.
you the kind of witch that goes around and shares light and is helpful and brings goodness and healing? Or are you the kind of witch that creates shadows and causes negativity and strife and drama? Which witch are you? Because according to the Christian definition of a witch, we'd all be burned at the stake. Come on now, let's talk
Mm,
about it. The
mm,
Inquisition in Europe was about them hunting down the Druids. Who were the Druids? The Druids were the descendants of the Moors, and the Druids were the herbalists. The Druids were the medicine men and women. They were
talk
the
to him.
astrologers. Come
Talk
on,
to him. Talk to
that
him.
we they were us. They were the
Come on.
midwives. The church wanted to be in control, and
Come on,
and
Tassili.
and and the government
Yep.
wanted to be in control. So they wanted to get rid of the medicine men, the medicine women. They wanted to get rid of the priests and the priestess that worship, not even worship, but they acknowledged and were grateful for the interaction we had with nature because we are nature, because they couldn't control us, because we followed the moon and we read the stars. We worked with the herbs of the field. We planted and ate according to the almanac, which was just following the stars
Mm,
and the cycles of the planets. That's what astronomers do. That's what your big skull and bone people do. Come on now. Everybody that's doing anything is paying attention to nature. It's only the ignorant who are in ignorance of universal law that aren't, that are running around